That's Wolf from Tesla Owners US, and today we have a great event because finally we got a family renting the Model Y plus a trailer in the appropriate size, and they are telling us about their trip. First time electric driver.
Wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight.
Now it's the other way around, and I translate. Here is our electric family, and we want to know from them how the drive was, where they were, and if that was fun to drive electric through the Southwest United States. So these are first-time electric drivers. They have been driven electric as a car somewhere in Berlin with car sharing, but this is the first time electric driving with a trailer attached to that. And the biggest piece they had just in front of them at the beginning of the trip, and during the beginning of the trip, they had to reduce the speed a little bit. But what they said is it was really not of a problem to do that. Additionally, they had to make a little detour because the mirror extensions had to be readjusted. And because of that, they had to drive a detour, and they were not starting with full 100%. And this time they had to reduce the speed a little bit, but they managed to do that in a pretty easy way. And then they were on the way again towards California. What was my question was also that did they have to take the trailer off on some of the locations? And they said yes, they had to do it. But their new chargers were already with a drive-through. So there is one charger on the side where you can go and drive. And it's like a pull-through on an RV place. And he drove through that. So I calculated also the miles, what they had driven, and compared it with a 23-foot motorhome, if they would have used that. And what we found out, that miles driven by the $5 average on a gallon fuel would have been $1,650, and that's what they have saved on fuel, and that was quite a lot. Yeah, originally when that was planned, it was planned that the charging is more happening at RV parks, because I gave them the charging equipment with them, with about that at every RV park there's a 50 amp outlet, 240 volt, and then every night they could have charged to the full. But sometimes they did not use that functionality also because of the RV spots were used up with 50 amp, and that they couldn't do that. From time to time they also could not find a 50 amp hookup at the site, and they are full hookup, so they took other places, and they also compared actually the price of the electricity, what they have used, with just a space to stay there. And sometimes they used just a space to stay there without a hookup there, especially in locations where you did not need urgently the power. And there was a supercharger close by that they would use instead of that. And that worked out for them in quite a few locations. Sure, the other question was also about the trailer. And the trailer was, when they originally received it, quite big for them. It's actually a trailer in Germany is about 2/3 of the size. But when they found out how big the trailer size is for the United States, they found out that really more a small trailer. And this kind of is a small trailer, but it was enough room for a family and 2 kids. Yeah, what they noticed is that in America the trailers are way bigger, what they are pulling, but this costs also a lot of energy to pull this big trailer. But they said the trailer size what they had was really enough, and they didn't need a bigger trailer. The trailer has a section there with 2 bunk beds basically for the kids and a bed in the front there, and it was really enough. And also we made a little joke that they can come again if they have another child. Sure, and also for us most interesting was that where you have
So, jetzt erzähl doch mal, wo er gewesen seid. Erstmal seid ihr so Richtung Kalifornien raus,
and they
ne?
have been in Joshua Tree National Park, and later also in Palm Springs, and to a notable location, and they like to hike. The primary goal was more the hiking trips and multiple locations, but what they also noticed that there were high differences in temperatures. So at sea levels there was more comfortable temperatures there, but when they went into the desert then it was warm again, and when they went into the mountains, especially Grand Canyon, it was really cold that you need to get the wool socks out. And what Stefan noticed, it was very easy to get used to high temperatures, and then when it gets it's 90 degrees, then he was thinking he needs to have a sweater. And that's what they noticed, and they had a good tour. Sure, we wanted to know how the trip continues. They visited the Pacific Coast with some friends in Orange County, and after that they wanted to go to the Sequoia National Park. They were in the National Forest in Sequoia, and then they continued their trip to Las Vegas. And in Las Vegas, they had more than one day, actually almost 2 days in Las Vegas, and they called it the Word Tour in Las Vegas because you can see all different kinds of hotels with different themes, from Roman to Italian to Paris and so on. And here's a little son. His name is Felix, and he was thirsty, but he wouldn't want to come in. So before I forget it, I wanted to introduce both of them. This is Stefan, and that's Andrea, and both of them are belonging to that electric family. So what was the trip and how did it continue? They continued with the Zion National Park that they visited as well, and then from Zion they went to the Eastmore, and I prepared the trip for him. There's a little bit that makes it easier for them in order to find out, including telephone numbers of the camps, so that they went to Page, Arizona, where they can visit the Horseshoe Canyon. They also went to Horseshoe Canyon Beach there, I think, and then there is also more to see, but at the Antelope Canyon, that is a nice place, but you have to book that in advance. But they did very nice other hiking trips in that area there, and they noticed also that there is a lot of things to explore. What they also did is they visited some of the Native Americans' habitats there. They visited a national monument there, and this is the first time actually they were a little bit afraid of range, even when they didn't have a trailer with them. But they drove out and then had to drive back. They were thinking that the telephone was still there, and then they had to drive back and it lost some range. So this time they had to admit it was the first time they had some range anxiety, even when they were not driving with a trailer, because they had to do a detour because they were thinking that they forgot their phone there, and they came back and then they did not know the topography of the landscape there, and with the calculation with the trailer is not good, and that does not contribute to trust any of the calculations there, where when they drove, this time they drove without a trailer, but this time they really chickened out and they wanted to return, and they had a lot of opportunity, and I think even with 90% charged at that time, they could have driven 150 miles out, pretty far out and back. And what they also do is they always, when they're coming back to their park, they just plug in there, and the next morning the car is full again. But this time it was a little bit too scary for them, and they returned. So that was really not so tragical that they didn't see so much there. But they also there's a nice beach there at the Horseshoe Canyon on one side, and they said also they visit a farm where they could pick some fruits there on the farm for free. And they had a good time there. And for sure they went to Tuba City where they made a break, and then from there they for sure went to the Grand Canyon because it's just on the way south from there, and they took a little bit a better shortcut. Yeah, there are two ways to enter the Grand Canyon. One way is over Flagstaff from the south, and one is from the east. So the east is registered as a toll road, and they took the toll road, but it's not a toll road really, it's the entrance of the Grand Canyon. And when you go to the entrance of the Grand Canyon from the east side there, then you can actually go on the south side of the Grand Canyon and go across there. From the east side, from the east to the west, and that's what they intended to do and did also. And it was easy to achieve when they had to climb a little bit towards the Grand Canyon. So they made a stop in Tuba City at an RV place. They stayed there and then charged there in Tuba City overnight, and then charged all the way up. And that was working very nicely for them. Yeah, and there are convenient superchargers in Page. There's a supercharger, and at Grand Canyon National Park, directly at the southwest entrance, there's a supercharger as well. I think 16 stalls are there. And they used that, and as well, first they couldn't get a place there where there was a full hookup for the electricity, so they used this one. And then we noticed in Page there's a supercharger as well, and there's a nice lake there. And one time I looked at my phone, and then I saw they are in the middle of the water. No, that is not the case, because the water receded at Lake Powell. They tried to fill it up from the water from the Mississippi, but we're gonna see if they're gonna succeed with that. But there were some interesting pictures in Page as well. So that family did it very well, we have to say. So first time driving United States, and then get so quick in with electricity and how charging worked there. And at the end they said when you got used to that, there is really not any problem about how to do that, and they worked their way very nice. Yes, they really did an excellent job in order to manage that by driving with electric Model Y and a trailer. And then they continue from here their trip, and they are visiting some friends once they are here in the United States. And at the same day, I think today or tonight, they're gonna leave for visiting their friends. Yeah, we are wishing that young family all the best on continuing their trip to the United States, and they did a very well job. Then they had a question if they were really the first ones. No, we did a lot of tests, and I do a lot of tests, what you know, when I'm driving with a trailer. But this is actually the first family who wanted to come on video with us to do the tour, and we appreciate that they did that so well, and we wish them all the best for the trip. At the end, we are saying thank you to that young family of showing us their trip. And for you guys, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, thumbs up, and bye bye. See you next time on a great trip with us.